Hey Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke. Is that really you? It appears we both go to the same gym. I just signed up for the new fat burner spinning class.
What can I do for you?
Well, I'd like to know your definition for a new economic buzzword that's all over the news this week.
Sure, what's that?
Financial repression. It's currently a hot buzzword in the global economic community. Supposedly it's this miraculous cure for government debt.
Well, as published in a recent working paper on the IMF website, financial repression is what the US and the rest of the advanced economies used to pay down enormous government debts the last time around, with a reduction in the government debt to GDP ratio of roughly 70% between 1945 and 1980 or so.
It's fortunate you gentlemen have rediscovered this fantastic historical tool this week. How does it work?
Well, you see, financial repression offers a third way out, as it allows governments to pay down huge debt burdens without either default or hyperinflation. If you are a senior government official of a nation that has a huge sovereign debt problem like the United States and almost all of Europe, and you want to stay in power, this proven method is a topic of keen interest.
But how does the financial repression work?
The essence of financial repression is using a combination of inflation and government control of interest rates in an environment of capital controls to confiscate the value of the savings of the world's savers.
Come again.
Rephrased in less academic terms, the government deliberately destroys the value of money over time, and uses regulations to force a negative rate of return onto investors in inflation-adjusted terms, so that the real wealth of savers shrinks by an average of 3 to 4% per year, and it uses an assortment of carrots and sticks to make sure investors have no choice but to accept having the purchasing power of their investments shrink each year. I hope that doesn't sound like the old Greenspan speak. I really make an effort to be more transparent and succinct than that old codger.
I'm completely flummoxed. Say again.
Well, what the IMF distributed paper really constitutes is a sheep shearing instruction manual. The way out for governments is effectively to put the world's savers and investors in pens, hold them down, and shear them over and over again, year after year. Uninformed and helpless victims is what makes financial repression work, and it worked very well indeed for 35 years.
Poppycock. Tell me more.
The great sheep shearing of the early 21st century is already in process. We were just using some different names and methods this time around, and it will likely succeed with the overwhelming majority of investors, much like it did before, only on a more thorough basis, because the problems are far larger this time around.
Is this skullduggery the price we must pay as a civilization to avoid another financial meltdown?
Whether financial repression will successfully prevent a meltdown is a different question.
Do you care at all about my hard-earned retirement funds? What you are suggesting will cause their buying power to evaporate. Can you give me any advice on what to do? Are there any alternatives?
You've just got to watch how I carry my briefcase on the way to the next Fed meeting. But seriously. I don't do advice, but I'll say this and then I really gotta jet. Your alternative is to accept the world as it is, take personal responsibility for your own outcome, and educate yourself. You can seek to fundamentally change your paradigm, turn it upside down, and personally turn that same world of high inflation and financial repression into a target-rich environment of wealth-building opportunities. Greenspan wrote an essay to that effect way back in 1967 titled Gold and Economic Freedom. Ayn Rand, who was something of a mentor to him before Keynes cleared his noggin, even published it in her book, Capitalism, The Unknown Ideal. Funny how things change. Oh well, gotta go now.
La 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 la.